All right, hello and welcome to today's AI and SEO webinar entitled Crush Your Competition and Boost Sales with AI-powered Micro SEO. All right, let's get started here. All right, so let's do quickly introductions. My name is Chris Raulf. I'm the founder and chief visionary here at Boulder SEO Marketing. I'm originally from Switzerland. I got into SEO, gosh, about 25 years ago before Google was called Google. They were called Backup back then. Moved to Boulder, Colorado back in '96. I speak globally about AI and SEO. I'm about to speak in Spain, Barcelona next month. And I have, oh yeah, my claim to fame. If you do a search for international SEO expert, you should find my personal website right at the top there in Google. So I get to speak at really cool conferences around the world. Yeah, enough about me. Daniel, who are you?
Yes, very quickly. So,
Oh,
Chris is the visionary. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Can
you,
you guys hear
Daniel.
me all right? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so Chris is the visionary. I am the integrator here. So I essentially get things done, make sure that the processes are in place, that things are moving in a well-oiled fashion. I'm originally from Brazil. I moved to Miami for university, and then I ran a web design agency for about 20 years in California before I moved over to Boulder and joined forces with Chris. So a lot of what I do in the agency today is make sure that everything is running smoothly. But one of the big things that I've been focusing on a lot is integrating AI into a lot of what we do. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later today.
awesome. Thank you. Daniel, just a quick word about Boulder SEO Marketing.
Yeah, so Boulder SEO Marketing, we are a local agency in Boulder, and we work with clients all over the country and the world for that matter. We do have some international SEO clients. And what we are really known for is really leveraging AI assistance to leverage our micro strategies. Micro SEO strategies, we're going to go into a little bit more detail, but this is really kind of, the new SEO 2.0 as we see it. Our focus is really working with small businesses and medium businesses to make sure that they can outrank some of the bigger competitors out there on the web.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you do a search for micro SEO, you should find a guide about what we're going to talk about here in this webinar today. Again, just do a quick search for micro SEO, or just check us out at boulderseomarketing.com. Okay, so let me actually move my video here. SEO is accelerating demand for SEO dramatically, as you can see there on the slide. That this, compared to last year, a lot more money is going to be spent on search engine optimization in 25. The compound annual growth rate is quite remarkable simply because of the fact a lot is happening with AI and SEO these days. I'm super excited about what's happening with AI, with SEO. Let me move my video here. There we go. Yeah, so I think we're in the right place at the right time. So this is what we're going to talk about, what is changing with SEO because of AI. So hopefully this is what you're hoping to learn in this webinar. All right. So online search is undergoing a massive shift. If you're an agency or an SEO professional still doing SEO the old way, you're gonna be left behind. This is what we're gonna talk about in this webinar. The old SEO you can no longer do. You're not gonna see the results that you can achieve with the new SEO. So this is what we're gonna discuss in this webinar. Daniel, it's been quite a year last year in terms of Google algorithm updates. Have we ever seen something like last year? Oh, looks like Daniel has left. Well, let's hopefully he'll be back in a second here. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I got booted out there for a second. Apologize about that.
All right, cool. So Daniel, we've seen a massive amount of core algorithm updates. Have we ever seen anything like that in the past?
No, no, they're moving so fast with all of these different algorithm updates that's changing everything so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, AI has changed everything, right? As soon as ChatGPT emerged in November of 2022, all of a sudden, massive amounts of content were published to the internet, right? So the major search engine, they don't want to index that, low quality content, AI generated content in their massive server farms. It's going to cost them a lot of money. So they had to find ways to quickly adapt and de-index all this low quality AI generated content. This is why we've seen a historic amount of core algorithm updates. As you can see there at the bottom is linked to this dashboard that you see here. All right. So SEO is finally dead. Long live SEO or CMP, CCOAD. And we're going to talk about what this stands for here in a second. But as I just mentioned earlier, if you're still doing SEO the old way, you are being left behind. All right. So we only have an hour together here in this webinar. We're gonna try to cover a lot of ground here. The changing landscape of SEO. Then we'll introduce you to our micro SEO strategies methodology. And I'm super excited. We're sort of for the first time showcasing our BSM Copilot. It's a AI agent that we have built over the last yeah, Daniel, I guess 6 to 8 months. It's an AI-powered SEO tool. It's really cool. I'm obviously biased, and then we'll have a conclusion, and hopefully we'll have time for Q&A. All right. So, what we're going to show you here, our AI and SEO methodology. This stuff really works, as you can see there, and I encourage you to do a quick search for ultimate local SEO guide, or even I think if you do a search for local SEO guide, I think you find our local SEO guide that we published in early December. On page 1, right here, right now, I think we're at position 2 for the keyword Ultimate Local SEO Guide. I think we were able to get this piece of content to rank within 2 weeks on page 1. And now we're doing a lot of the follow-up tasks that we're going to show you later on that are part of our micro SEO strategies methodology to hopefully get that guide to rank at the very top in Google. So this is what we're going to show you here today in this webinar, how we're able to achieve these results. All right. And then also this is a screenshot from Google Search Console. This is a real customer. This is data year over year data where we're looking at the last 3 months versus the same 3 months last year. So with this methodology, we've been able to basically increase Google organic search traffic by about 50%. Can we guarantee that? Absolutely not. Daniel, what do you think? Like people always ask us, what are we gonna see? Like it depends. Like what's an average increase that we sort of see with the implementation of our methodology?
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that we know for sure is that we know that the needle is going to move, right? Especially, and then there's two kinds of projects that we look at. There's projects that are going to have low-hanging fruits, and Chris is going to talk about that in a little bit. And those are pages with great potential. When we implement micro SEO strategies and pages that have potential, we know that the needle is going to move. Now, it's very hard for me to tell you how fast and how quickly it's going to move because we don't control how Google runs their algorithms. But we know for a fact that the process that we implement is going to increase the number of keywords that rank, the position of those rankings, and obviously the traffic to those. But then there's the other side of the equation, which is when you're working with pages that are completely brand new, that have no absolute traffic. Are they going to grow? Yes, they're going to grow over time. But then the KPIs and the measurable things that we're going to see as success are going to be different. It's going to be how fast keywords are moving from page 20 to page 10 to page 8. So depending on where the page is, how competitive it is, and what we're working as a foundation, we can kind of figure out what to expect in terms of results.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the changing landscape of SEO, search engine optimization. A quick word about the evolution of AI in search. Back in 2015, Google introduced Rank Brain. That was like the first time when machine learning was infused into their algorithm. A lot has changed since then, but that sort of was like the kickoff to machine learning, AI, and SEO. All right. So now, fast forward a bunch of years, again, in November of 2022, ChatGPT emerged, right? It was the talk of town. It was like the application that gained the most users in the shortest amount of time. It also meant that a lot of people were simply starting to abuse this new technology, generative AI, right? It was amazing. You could go to ChatGPT and then ask it, hey, please write a blog post about this, or please, help me write an essay, right? So what happened is that a lot of people out there, they simply used this new technology to create content that they put up on their website, right? So Daniel, before we spoke about all these core algorithm updates, Google had to unleash the scaled content abuse, where basically, again, all these websites were publishing, tons of content. So Google had to figure out, how are we going to identify that it's low quality AI generated content, basically spun content, right? These tools, they just feed on existing content. It's not net new content. So Google unleashed the scaled content algorithm update. And Daniel, remember we spoke with a client. They did exactly what we told them not to do. Can you quickly talk about what happened here? This is
Yeah.
a screenshot from Google Search Console.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a client that generated a lot of what we consider junk content, a lot of AI generated content, a lot of content just for SEO purposes. And because of algorithm updates that happened, they started getting penalized and penalized. And you could see this has pretty much killed their business, right? And with that being said, this is a conversation that we had months ago, and it's amazing the number of clients that I talk to and the number of other agencies that I know of that are still excited and still use AI to generate a lot of content. I just had a conversation with a prospect the other day, and they're like, we've been able to produce so much new content on our website now because we just let AI do it for us. And it's amazing how a lot of companies and people have not yet understood how much it hurts your business and your website rankings just to create AI content and post AI content, which is exactly what you're seeing happen here to this client. So, that's the wrong way to use AI in SEO today, is to have it create your content for you.
Yeah, so we're going to show you how to use AI for the purpose of content creation. And by the way, Google just updated their AI content generation guidelines. So we'll briefly talk about that in a second here. So the search giant, they still dominate this game. However, for the first time in a very long time, their global market share dipped below 90%. They're still the dominant player. I predict that Google will continue to be the dominant player for the foreseeable future. However, there's now other search engines popping up that are using Gen AI as part of showing information. So I predict we're going to see a change in the domination of Google in the search market. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen here. And I'm sure next year we'll have a lot more information. And I predict that potentially that market share will continue to fall there for Google. All right. So what I showed earlier, the CMP CCOD. So this stands for Contextual Multi-Platform Content Creation, Optimization, and Distribution. So my wife and I, we're going to hike Mount Kilimanjaro later this year in September. So if you do a search for best time to hike Mount Kilimanjaro, as you can see there, Google, many of you are aware that, the search giant is showing a lot of Reddit threads as part of the search results. But there's also other platforms like TripAdvisor, Quora. Those are basically other search engines that are popping up on page one in Google in relation to search terms. So this means that you got to be in those places for your keywords that you want to be found for. This is what I'm referring to. And Daniel, we're going to show when we demo our tool how this happens, right? So, sorry, I'm not going to have you talk about it now, but just for our viewers, we're going to show you how to create content for these platforms so that you have a chance to actually be found in also these other search engines that are popping up on page one in Google. All right. Daniel, back in not too long ago, technical SEO was extremely important, like all these other things, right? Do you want to briefly talk about the shift that we've seen since Gen AI has emerged, where basically, in my opinion, content is now king and queen?
Yeah. So I'll give two examples of how this kind of has, changed what we do and how we do it. But one of the things is that I think now, because of the algorithm updates and everything that we've seen, content is really the differential, right? When we get a website and we focused the majority of our resources on creating amazing human written content and on how to promote that content and how to distribute that content, that is the effort that is going to see the most traction. The other kind of part of the answer of the 2080 rules, because a long time ago, we used to, when we got a new client, we would do a tech audit. And the tech audit would give us, let's say, 15 different things to fix on the website. And recently what we found is that fixing a lot of those things doesn't necessarily move the needle. And a lot of times the resources and the time needed to go in there and fix a lot of these little technical issues is a lot of time investment that doesn't necessarily move the needle as much. So what we've done recently is we do a tech audit, but we really pick out the 2, 3, 4 most important things that we know are hurting either the user experience or the ability for Google to index, fix those, but then really focus our resources and attention to say, now let's really just spend as much time as we can on content, redoing content, creating more content, repurposing content, and promoting that content.
Awesome. All right, so as mentioned earlier, the search giant is feeling the heat, right? Since again the launch of ChatGPT in November of 2022, other tools have emerged, generative AI tools that people are using now to find information that they're looking for. So we get ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini. But then also think about what I mentioned earlier, like these other platforms that are also search engines like YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, etc., etc. And now, as many of you heard, probably there's another Chinese Gen AI tool called DeepSeek, right? In the shortest amount possible, DeepSeek is now the most downloaded app, right? So as soon as there is a new Gen AI search tool, it that does a really good job, it will get attraction, right? So Search GPT has launched. That's also another search engine. Again, this is the need to be in multiple platforms to show up where your potential customer is searching on. Again, I believe we're going to see a shift from Google to other search engines, including the one that we're seeing here, and the need to be in multiple platforms to get in front of the right audience. All right. So generative engine optimization, that's what we're talking about. It's a new approach to SEO and AI. GEO basically focuses on creating content that's clear, concise, comprehensive, that is geared to get into these AI search engines, including Search GPT, DeepSeek, etc., etc. Think of it this way: when you develop content, you want to create the best possible content, but not too long ago, content was created primarily or often to please search engines. Those days are gone. If you create content, if you invest time into creating content, make sure that it's 100% authentic, that you would actually want to read this piece of content. So this is the new SEO. Don't just optimize for search engines. Again, while Google is still very important, Geo also considers other search engines, such as the ones that I just showed you, Search GPT, Perplexity, etc., etc. So this is what we're addressing here in this webinar. All right. And then as briefly mentioned before, Google has just updated its AI generated content guidelines. So they're basically now saying, hey, there's actually a time and place for AI generated content, but you got to be very careful and follow our guidelines when you use AI to generate content. So I highly recommend that you read the link that I put in there at the bottom of this slide. Make sure you follow these guidelines. Otherwise, again, your website could potentially get penalized by Google, potentially get de-indexed, or as you saw in that slide earlier, you could see a massive drop in visitors to your website. So Daniel, with that being said, let's talk about, Google's guidelines on how to create content that will rank at the top in their search engine.
Absolutely. So there's that link on the bottom of the presentation there. That's a link to this page where Google is essentially telling you, the owner of the website, exactly what they are looking for when creating a piece of content. So there's two slides that I summarize this information. Chris, if you want to go to the next one. And then I've kind of highlighted the important stuff, but it's really important that you take the time to go through that. The first thing is that content needs to be created for people's benefits, not search engines. Big shift from what it used to be before, right? And it needs to leverage, true value expertise addressing real audiences. The idea here is that you are creating content that will help humans that are coming to the website solve an issue, right? The second thing is really one of the biggest things that we're always going back to all the time is making sure that you're not only demonstrating, but leveraging the EEAT of the company, the owner, the people involved with the brand. What does EAT mean? Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And to summarize that, what that means is Google wants to know that the website and the company and the people behind it really know what they're talking about, right? They're experts in the industry. You can trust the information that they are talking about. There are many ways that we can do that. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about EEAT building, right? But the wrong way to do it is just to slap pieces of content on there that are not written by anybody or written by admin, and then just there's ways that you really want to leverage that EEAT score. That's extremely important, and it's becoming more and more important moving forward. The third thing is, the content needs to really show three things, right? Who wrote it, how it got written, and why it got written. Again, Google's really trying to understand, why does this piece of content exist? Those are three things in the content when you're reading it that need to come out very transparently. The fourth one is, again, avoid mass producing articles, right? Mostly that's done through AI. And, a lot of the companies and the websites that we've worked with all of a sudden, went from doing 2 to 3 blog posts to now they're doing 30 blog posts a month. That is really a terrible signal to send to Google, especially when all of these are AI generated. So that's one thing to really stay away from. Then you can go to the next slide. And the thing is, the reason that these items are on this page is not because these are theories that we have, but these are things that Google really are telling us, the website owners, that are the things that we are allowed to do, not allowed to do, things to really stay away from. So far, it's just the 4 items here, Chris. The 2 slides is on the other
Yeah.
one. So these are the 4 more important takeaways from that page, but take the time to go through the page in detail, because that's a real good roadmap that Google gives you to say, do this, don't do that. And just a quick final note, we use that document to do 2 things. When creating new pieces of content, we're making sure that we're following all of those guidelines. But anytime that we have an important page on a website that needs to rank, it used to rank, but it's not ranking as well, we go back there and we ask ourselves the questions on those pages to see, does this page follow this? Does this page do this? And a lot of times we're going to find out what the reason is that Google's penalized that piece of content, and we'll incorporate that, that fix into it when we rebuild that page.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so just a quick word about EEAT, right? So back in the day, not too long ago, you could, buy backlinks, just, sort of buy your way to the top. Again, these search engines, they're only going to stay in business or make money if they're able to surface, the content that people want to see that actually serves a purpose. So one of the most important things that you need to work on this year and moving forward truly is building your EEAT score, because that is going to be the differentiator. If there's, 2 pieces of content that are equally good, Google will take a look at the EEAT score of the person or the website that's publishing the piece of content. That is going to be the differentiator, right? So this is so extremely important. If there's one takeaway from this webinar, this is the one that I would make a mental note here. Yeah, so agility is key when it comes to SEO. You need to adapt or you will die. If you're an agency, if you're still doing SEO the old way, there's a good chance that you will go out of business because you're not able to deliver the results that your customers are looking for. If you're an SEO professional doing SEO for your employer, you need to change if you're still doing SEO the old way. All right, Daniel, I think you're equally thrilled as I am about what's happening with generative AI. So last year, in my opinion, was the year of generative AI, right? People learned about these tools, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, et cetera, et cetera. So this year, 2025, is the year of agentic AI. AI agents. Do you want to briefly, we'll show our AI agent in a second here. If you want to add something, please do. Otherwise, we're going to go to the next slide.
Yeah, no, you can keep moving because I think I have a lot of to talk about when I actually show our own tool. So
Awesome. And you may want to adjust your headset a little bit. You're cutting in and out just a tiny bit from time to time. Yeah, so we're
okay.
in the year of agentic AI. Warning, sales pitch. We a couple of months ago we hosted a half-day AI prompt engineering and SEO online course. We're basically giving away all the prompts that we built into our tool. If you want to learn more about this stuff, unfortunately, we don't have time in an hour-long webinar to go through everything. I invite you to use code right there at the bottom, 250130 webinar, to sign up for this on-demand online course. Again, at the end, I have the slide again, so don't worry about writing this stuff down, and everybody will get the link to the recording of this webinar. All right, let's talk about micro SEO strategies. Daniel, what are micro SEO strategies?
Yeah, and I reset my speaker, so let me know if it's better. But micro
Okay.
SEO strategies is our main focus here at Boulder SEO Marketing. And it's a strategy that we have found that works tremendously well. And it's a hyper-focused approach. So instead of dealing with like a global approach to say, let's kind of get the whole website and slowly move it up on the search engines, what we're doing is we're identifying and finding specific pages on the website that are number one, very important, but number two, have potential for growth, and laser focusing our efforts on getting that specific page, getting that piece of content and making it and turning it into the ultimate piece of content about that subject matter. And what that allows us to do is to very quickly see that page move up, right? And specifically, if we're working with a page that is somewhere on page 2, page 3, where they're getting very little traffic, in a very short period of time, we're able to see that page move up to page 1, where now we're seeing the clicks come in and the calls come in. And that's very exciting, right? Because in a lot of times, SEO is considered more of a longer term strategy, but micro SEO strategies allow us to see very fast results on important pages of the website. And then what we do is we take that sniper approach and move from important page to important page, moving them up individually, to a place where they're generating a lot more traffic. That is a win-win because as an SEO agency, we're able to see great results faster. And for customers, they're able to see a lot more clicks and results from the SEO work happening sooner. So that's a little bit of what a MicroStrategy is and how it's hyper focused on specific high intent pages.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you want to do a quick Google search, not you, Daniel, our audience, just do a search for again local SEO guide. That's a great example. I think we're at position 5, 6 for the. It's a very competitive keyword, local SEO guide. Just click on the Boulder SEO Marketing guide. That was actually an existing guide where we applied this methodology. And again, within a couple of weeks, we started to make our way to page 1, and we're getting a lot of clicks. It generates leads for us, right? A lot of people need local SEO. So this is a great example of what Daniel just discussed here. Daniel, if you want to continue.
Yeah, that's essentially it. So when we're doing a MicroStrategy, some of the things that we're doing is we're going in and finding out what does Google really want to see as the ultimate piece of content. So we do a lot of research and analysis, right, to find out what is AI generative showing up, what are other websites showing up. That's all stuff that we need to incorporate into our process. Then we create this amazing piece of content, which we know that following MicroStrategy process is going to be a piece of content that Google's really going to take seriously. And once this piece of content is launched, Then there's all of the post-launch stuff that we're going to be doing, which is to support this piece of content, which is creating links from other places into it, doing a lot of internal linking. And then most importantly, it's promoting and reslicing and repurposing content from this human-driven, human-created content into a lot of other platforms that are going to generate traffic on their own, but it's also going to generate traffic to and from our main page, in addition to signals that Google's really going to take in consideration as part of their ranking efforts.
Awesome. All right. So here's an example of how you could identify or select, keywords that you then want to turn into a piece of content. I want to show you quickly SE ranking. This is our favorite SEO tool, and we're gonna give you the link to they offer a month-long free long trial. No credit card required. It's an awesome tool. So if you use the keyword research section there, so we trademarked the term micro SEO strategy, right? So I did a search for micro SEO service. As you can see there, this tool will tell you, hey, the difficulty is very low to get to rank at the top in Google. It's going to be pretty easy. So what I recommend, if you don't have a lot of content on your website that's already ranking in some form or shape, if you want to develop new content, make sure you do keyword research from scratch. So just start with a overarching term such as, micro SEO, right? And then maybe go a little bit longer tail until you're able to identify a keyword that has low difficulty and a decent amount of search volume. As you can see there on the right side, search volume for this keyword is going up. So this is a great keyword, right, that we want to rank for because that's what we offer, micro SEO services. All right. Then, so we used our tool to, come up with the outline, which we're going to show you in a second here, to create a piece of content. Again, if you do a search for micro SEO, you're going to find that piece of content at the very top in Google. So we used our methodology, a tool to not only rank this piece of content organically at the top in Google, but we're also getting into these AI overviews that many of you are probably familiar with. Very often, if you do a search now in Google, you're going to see these AI overviews that quickly address what you're looking for. Yeah, so that's a great example. All right. So Daniel, micro SEO strategies. This was what we did manually, right? Not too long ago. We just talked about keyword research from scratch. I'm going to show an example of how to do low-hanging fruit keyword research. But if you want to just very briefly talk about some of these tasks here that we did manually.
Yeah, and then pretty soon I'm going to be sharing also a visual of kind of the process, but a micro SEO strategy is a lot of work, right? Because there's a lot of research. For example, under the keyword, you'll see that there's a content outline creation. So we go there and we do an AI overview analysis, find out what is the AI overview that Google's giving back for all of the keywords. We do the same for SERP. What are the competitors that are showing up on the first page? What are they talking about? We bring all of that in, and then we create a wireframe, and then we do, the graphic design for that page. And then there's a lot of different steps that go into this. And you'll see that a micro strategy, the way that we used to do it manually before, used to take us about 2 to 3 months from beginning to end, which was great because it worked, but it's not so great because it was taking us a long time to get these things up, right? And this is when we developed our AI automation to assist our team on doing a lot of this heavy lifting. So now we're able to launch these MicroStrategy pages in a fraction of a time. And I'll go over that in a little bit more detail when I kind of show our co-pilot.
Awesome. All right. Here's the URL to the free SE ranking trial, month-long free trial. You don't even need put in a credit card to sign up for this tool. So we use this tool to identify low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities. All right. You can go to the competitive research section on this tool, plug in your website, and then it's going to show you the keywords that your website is ranking for, the current position, and the monthly search volume. And you can use this in basically any country. This is the search volume for the US. In this case, we identified an SEO costs price guide where, man, if I can get this piece of content to rank in the top 3 organic search results for these high search volume keywords, we're going to get a lot more people to that piece of content. A lot of people are interested to learn about the cost of SEO. So I'm sure this piece of content will generate leads for us. So this is how we identify low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities. If feel free to reach out if you want me to do a low-hanging fruit keyword research exercise for your website. Happy to do that. So then we head over to again, the keyword research section on SE ranking. We plug in the keyword that we want to rank for. Again, I want to see, how difficult is it to rank for this keyword? What's the monthly search volume? You get all kinds of data there, including similar keywords, etc., etc. So this step is still done manually because we need, as of right now, a human being to do keyword research. I don't quite yet trust the AI tool. So this is what we do manually. And then once we have identified let's say 3 to 5 keywords that we want to rank for, update a piece of content for, then we can unleash our AI tool on this process. So with this being said, Daniel, let's talk about our game-changing AI and SEO assistant, BSM Copilot.
Yeah, no, very cool. So, I mean, and the real cool thing about the SEO, BSM Copilot that we're doing is that it's a tool that allows us to leverage AI to do a process, which is our micro SEO process, in a much more efficient way, so we're able to do it sooner, but it also allows us to do it in a much better way. Why? Because before, when we were leveraging for certain things, humans, their ability and their time was very limited in terms of how much research they could actually do. By leveraging AI, we're leveraging the power of AI to really go out there and then do a much deeper and broader research. So the information that is being used to create this outline and create the recommendation that we're going to give to our writers is actually done a lot better by AI. So we're able to go through our MicroStrategy process now. We're able to do it faster. We're able to do it better. And not only that, but the results that we're seeing from these MicroStrategies that are created by BSM Copilot are much better. What we're looking at here is just kind of a visual for you to understand that anytime that we do a MicroStrategy, it's a combination of one main pillar page and supporting pieces of content. Depending on the strategy, it'll be 3 pieces of supporting content, 4 pieces of supporting content. And the idea is that we're not just creating content that is going to rank high. What we're trying to do is to create a topic cluster to give topical authority about a specific subject matter. Excuse me. So that's what we're really trying to do, is to become a true expert on a specific subject matter by really going in depth, not about one page and one keyword and subject, but really creating that topic cluster that shows to Google that, yes, you guys are true experts on the overall topic and all of the surrounding information around that main pillar page. So that's essentially the main focus when we're doing MicroStrategies. You can go to the next slide, Chris, real quick. And what this shows is, so everything that you see in yellow here is the way it's manual. It used to be done manually, right? So when you look at the first column there, the research and content outline, keyword research, second one, micro summary doc, and the brand guide, those are 3 things that are done by our team and they need to be done by humans, because this is where we're really kind of figuring out, what is this project all about? What's the brand of the website? What's the voice? What are the keywords, like Chris? So this is really important information that we continue and will always do by hand, because we want to make sure that we're really working very closely, with the client to make sure that we're distilling the information that's going to be most essential for the process. But then the AI overview and the SERP analysis, those are things that can be automated. They should be automated, well, they are automated now, but before, it used to take our research team days and days to go in there and do all of this manual work to collect all of this information back from Google, right? And then creating the outline, which is that second column, also took our writers a very long time to do, right? And what this outline was is we creating the ultimate outline that is given to a human writer, and this human writer then creates this piece of content, which is the content creation column, which is the third column. And then once that piece of content is created and posted on the website, then all of the post-launch activities happen, which then we repurpose content to be posted on, like Chris was saying before, platforms that are important for your brand. In this case, we're using us as an example. So Quora, LinkedIn, doing press releases, Medium, we do a newsletter. How do we repurpose? So a lot of that content was being repurposed and reposted manually. This whole process used to take us about 11 to 15 weeks. If you go to the next slide, Chris, you'll see that now we've automated certain things. So in the beginning, yes, those 3 steps need to be done manually by a human, but the AI overview and the SERP analysis are things that now we can scrape using AI, right? Then once we have all of this great information, we feed this information into the BSM Copilot, and through a very fine-tuned prompting process, we work with Gemini, which is our LLM of choice, to actually go through and create what we consider the ultimate outline for a piece of content that is going to be then handed over to a writer. And again, this writer needs to be an expert in the industry. They know what they need to know what they're talking about, right? But the beautiful thing is, this content that is generated by BSM Copilot is essentially a roadmap for the writer to tell the writer, if you talk about all of these different aspects, if you refer to these different things, if you include all of these things as part of the piece that you're creating, this piece that you're creating is probably going to be better than any other piece on the internet now. Why? Because we've gone through that whole research to find out who is ranking on the first page, and how can we turn this piece into the best piece compared to everybody else that's out there, right? So again, content creation needs to be done by a human, and then the post-launch promotions. This is all stuff that Google has told us through the documentation that it's okay to use AI to repurpose content that we have created by a human being, right? So when we're creating content for LinkedIn and press releases and the Medium and the newsletter and Facebook and Quora, we use AI to repurpose some of the content that was created by the writers. And again, that expedites the process. So something that used to take us 11 to 15 weeks, now we're able to launch a MicroStrategy in 4 to 6 weeks, which is much faster. And like I mentioned before, the results that we're getting from these pages that are being launched from outlines created by BSM Copilot are ranking much faster and much better than the ones that we were doing manually, because as part of the AI overview and the SERP analysis and the AI creation of this outline, AI has just a lot more data to work from and a lot more brain power to be able to put something together that's exactly what the writers need. So Chris, if you allow me to share my screen, what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of show everyone Copilot and what Copilot does, and why, and kind of the beauty of it. So Copilot right now is not a platform that we are making available to the public. Why? Because Copilot is an AI tool that we have specifically created to be able to speed up and optimize the process of micro SEO creation. And micro SEO creation is something that we do, and it's an important thing that we need to have our team specifically trained on how to do certain aspects of the process, like the brand creation and the creation of the MicroStrategy summary doc and the keyword research, because the quality of the information that you put into the BSM Copilot is going to dictate the quality of the outline that you're going to get, right? So that is why this is a tool that for us, it's an internal tool for the time being that we are really leveraging. And this is what I want to show you. So what BSM Copilot does is this, right? I'm going to start the sample process just to kind of show you what we've done. But the things when I start a process, and let's say that I'm going to select to do a micro SEO strategy for an existing page, right? And the process for a new page might be different. I'm going to put in here the summary doc, and the summary doc talks about specifically, I'll show you what a summary doc looks like. It's going to tell us, you know, what are the keywords? What are the specific goals and conversions of that page? What are the key messaging points for that client? What are the, you know, what are the objectives? And that's why this is something that needs to be done very closely with the client to make sure that we're getting there, you know, that we're creating a page that's really in line with the way that the client communicates and with the goals that they're trying to achieve. Then we put in the brand guide. What's the voice? You know, what's the style of the company? Then here is the AI overview doc and the SERP analysis doc. This is where we've had our AI go in there and just for specific keywords, get back as much information from AI overview and other websites that are ranking in page one to really understand what is Google ranking on the first page of Google today. That is important information that we need to incorporate into our process. So when we start this process through BSM Copilot, you're going to see that it's a conversation, right? So we're going to put in there, we're going to say, hey, you know, here, can you please help me create an outline for an existing page? I'm going to give you some information, and BSM Copilot says, yes, give me that information. So the next prompt is, hey, here is the URL of the page that we're working on together. And in this case is a remodeling page, right? And BSM Copilot says, perfect. I have the URL now and I'm ready for the next steps. So this is a process that now we've engineered, and it's about 30 to 35 different prompts because we really go into detail on all of the different things that we want to go in there, right? And BSM Copilot, again, says, I understand, I'm familiar now. Let's proceed to the next steps. I'm not going to bore you with the whole process, but it's essentially a communication that goes back and forth. What do we get at the end of this process? Well, let me show you. For this specific process here, we're going to get three things. The first thing that we're going to get is this. It's the ultimate template that we're going to give to our human writers. So if the human writer follows this template, the chances of creating the best piece of content about this specific keyword is very high. There's going to be three things, right? Obviously, summary of the project, and then it's going to have a project overview so the writer can understand how did we come about creating all of this information? So, you know, we did an in-depth competitor analysis, yeah, overview, we evaluated the existing page, keyword research, we have a buyer persona development, all of the things that went into, you know, creating this page. Then the third part is, here's the content outline. This outline provides a structured framework for creating the compelling, informative, and SEO optimized content for this page. And here we go into talking about what are the keywords, what are the different areas, sections that you should talk about. Again, do we tell our writers that they need to strictly follow this? No, right? Because at the end of the day, this needs to be created by a human for humans. But this is a great roadmap to say if you include all of these things in there, this is what we know based on our research that Google is looking for. And then the last part of this is additional instructions for the writer. What is the purpose of this content? Who's the target audience? You know, again, what are the primary and secondary keywords that we want to include in there, right? What are the conversion goals? Again, call to actions and so forth. So this template provides a detailed framework for creating this exceptional piece of content adhering to the Google guidelines. This piece of content, in our experience, again, like I've mentioned several times, that the writer follows this instead of just randomly creating a piece of content, it's going to set it in a much better place to rank highly. Then, what's the second thing that the BSM Copilot is going to generate? Well, now we're going to say, what are the pieces of content that are going to be supporting titles and topics that are really going to generate a topical expertise, right? And what we do is we usually generate 10 recommendations. So here, for example, choosing the perfect paint color for your Boulder home. and we explain why we're choosing that. We're explaining what are the keywords and the rationale. Why is this a great recommendation for a supporting piece of content? Again, it's leveraging all of that information that we put in. It's leveraging the 30 to 35 communication back and forth with AI. So these recommendations are actually based on, again, great research and information of what is it that's really going to support that page and make us an expert on the industry, right? So the rationale for this page is, it directly addresses a common homeowner concern and aligns with the user's needs for information for paint selection. Again, it's something that is mentioned on the main pillar page, but on this specific supporting piece of content, we can dive into more detail. And once we actually select 3 to 4 pieces from here, and we say, hey, BSM Copilot, these are the pieces, then BSM Copilot is going then at that point leverage all of this research, all of this information to create a outline for each one of the pieces of supporting content that we have selected. In this case, these are the 4. Again, the reason that this is so powerful is not that we're asking AI to say, hey, here's a title, create an outline for me. That's easy to do, and anybody can do that using ChatGPT. What we're doing here is this creation of this outline and the outline for the main pillar page is a byproduct of putting in all of the different information that we put in here, all of the, for example, I'll show you, like, for example, the AI overview, right? What is Google putting back in terms of AI overview for the keywords? All of this research. So this outline is really tailored specifically to how do we create the best piece of content based on everything that is out there. And we've really found out that, by having our writers, and a lot of times we're working with clients directly where they're like, hey, we have writers, but the stuff that they're creating isn't ranking really well. We work with them to say, hey, let us do this outline for you. We give you this outline, which has specific instructions for the writer on how to write and what to write, and those pieces of content are ranking way, way better. So in a nutshell, the MicroStrategy process is a lot of research, a lot of work to put together this outline for the writer, but this outline for the writer is the big success deliverable that the micro SEO strategy does, right? Because then we're giving the tools to a writer to really have some guidance in terms of how to create this piece of content, which is, number 1, created by a human, number 2, created by an expert in the industry, which is the 2 most important things that Google's looking for. But then number 3 is talking about all of the different things to check the box that Google will say, yes, this is one of the best pieces of content about this specific keyword. And for that reason, they rank it very high. So with that being said, this is a process that we've been working with specific clients to do internally what we do. But again, clients come to us and say, we have a team of writers. Please give us some guidance in terms of how can we get them to write things that are going to rank. We leverage our BSM Copilot to work with clients to give them these outlines so then they can give that to their writers. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight under the hood on what we're doing.
Awesome. We're nearly out of time. That was an awesome overview, Daniel. So again, this half-day online on-demand workshop includes all the prompts that we now put into BSM Copilot. So if you want to give it a try yourself, please feel free to do so. Daniel, we're thinking about, potentially doing outlines on a case-by-case basis where we create outlines. Yeah, I think we're nearly at the end of the webinar. So let's if you still have time, stay online for a few more minutes. We'd love to take some questions if there are questions. There's a method to the madness. Daniel, I think we figured it out. Obviously, the results speak for themselves that we're able to achieve. Harold, if there are questions, if you can plug them into the chat. We are recording this session, so everybody who signed up for the webinar will receive the link to the recording. I know it was a a lot of information. I do hope everybody learned something new, is excited about the new way of doing search engine optimization. Let me see. What do you think of a tool that automates the process of keyword research, where relevant keywords with high search volume and low keyword density are filtered into a list, which saves time? That, you know, I think we'll get there where we can where we can automate the process of keyword research. Right now, I don't feel comfortable doing that. We've tried it. We didn't see the results that we were hoping to see. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. I'd be very careful at this point. What
Let me
is the
add on to
prefer?
that question real
Yeah.
quick, Chris. So one of the things that we're doing as well is that, yes, and I agree with you, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be awesome, and then we can incorporate that into the process. But right now, one of the things that we do is that we do leverage a little bit of AI research into the keyword research, and then we get that and we put that in front of a strategist. And then, yes, does that speed up the process of doing the initial research? Sure. But then it really needs to be looked at by somebody. Why? Because AI still don't know the slight differences between keywords that are going to make a huge difference in, the conversion for a client. So it still needs to be reviewed and approved and finalized by a human. But yes, you could still use AI, at least in my idea, to do some of the initial heavy lifting.
Awesome. What is the preferred software prompts to use when getting results? SERP analysis, AI overview, Gemini, and then we run the AI on actually doing the search in Google and then grab the AI overview directly from Google, simply because most people are still using the search giant for their search needs. Let me see the prompt again. There are in that document that is part of the on-demand online workshop. Um, but it's pretty straightforward, just develop if you want to try this yourself, develop a prompt like as you were talking to a normal person. Does EEAT and domain authority have anything to do with each other? Where do you find the EEAT score? So these tools, we use SE ranking primarily. This tool, if you plug in the website into the competitive research section, it'll give you the domain authority for that website. Again, it's a third-party tool. Google used to show the domain authority. They took it away many years ago. So you can use third-party tools to see the domain authority score, but it's according to their algorithm. EAT, it's an ongoing process where, I speak a lot globally. We do press releases, we publish high quality content. This is a natural way on how to increase your EEAT score. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a differentiator in terms of Google ranking content, right? So this is something that you build over time. For a lot of our clients, we do a lot of digital PR to basically, educate the search engines about what the company is all about, what specific people are doing at this company. So it's an ongoing process. It's part of our methodology. Yeah. Any other questions? I do see follow-up. What kind of slight difference that AI would notice that otherwise would have made a huge difference? How would a strategist know the difference? Daniel, if you want to take that question.
So sorry, could you read that question again? I'm not sure I understood the question.
Okay. And I think it's, let me see. What do you think of a tool that automate? I think that's a follow-up question to, a tool that automates the process of keyword research. Follow-up, I think you talked about slight difference that AI wouldn't notice that
Yeah.
otherwise would have made. Yeah.
So what I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'm just going to kind of answer it anyway. So there's a lot of times when, the research that comes from keyword research tools like SEO ranking and keyword research and so forth, they come back with some really high volume keywords, and they give us all of the metrics that we need to know if they're going to be interesting keywords for us to, search for. But a lot of times, for example, a keyword might be a really good, valuable keyword with high search volume, but it's so generic that even if we rank for that one, the quality of the traffic that comes into the website is going not to be extremely targeted, and it's not going to be extremely high intent. Let me see if I can think of an example right off the bat. Like, for example, we were doing, so for example, let's say that there's somebody that does consulting and they're like professional consultants for, CEOs, right? And then one of the keywords that might come back is like, consulting firms. Well, consulting firms is not a good keyword, right? Because consulting firms can mean consulting of 1,000 different things. Can we rank for that keyword? Sure. Is it going to bring in a lot of traffic? Sure. Is it going to bring in 80% of the wrong traffic? Yes, right? Because there's like all kinds of different types of consultings. So at that point, that's when we really want to hand pick, the longer tail keywords that are going to be a lot more specific to the CEO consulting of whatever that landing page. And this is just an example that I'm using, right? So that's when we really need to understand, yes, do those keywords have high search volume? Sure. Do we want to focus on those? No, not necessarily. A lot of times what we want to choose is keywords that have a lot lower search volume, a lot longer tail keywords that are going to be a lot more relevant. So less of the right traffic a lot of times is going to be a lot more important than a lot of the wrong traffic. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, because bringing in these very high competitive keywords is going to be a lot higher. Number two, if you are bringing in all of this traffic that clicks and lands on your page and they look at this page and they go, oh, no, this is just for CEOs, it's not for me, they bounce out, that means that page is going to have a very high bounce rate, right? And a high bounce rate is one of the signals that Google uses to say, oof, this is not a very good user experience, or this is not what people are looking, and that's actually going to hurt your rankings, right? So by choosing the right keywords, you're affecting a lot of different aspects of how this page is going to be indexed and how it's going to be treated. And that's why, again, we do not take recommendations from an AI or from somebody without, double, triple checking them, because that is the one single most important decision in the beginning of the entire process that's going to dictate how well all of our efforts for months to come are going to result in, good or great results.
Awesome. I thought that was a good answer. All right, let me see. I think that was it. No more questions. We're a little bit over time. I apologize. But Daniel, thank you so much. I love the demo. Exciting times if you are in search engine optimization these days. Remember, it's the year of AI agents. Yeah, have fun with this stuff. Feel free to reach out if you want to, if you don't want to deal with it, if you need help with your SEO. Yeah, Daniel, I'm gonna stop the recording here in a second, but let's stay on in case there's any other questions. As
Perfect.
always, stay safe and healthy and join us again for our next webinar. Thank you so much for your interest, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.